Well, hello, I'm Lee Earl, and behind the camera, as is customary, is my business partner, Larry Becker.
I'm still alive.
He's still here. Rumors of his demise are inaccurate. Anyway, this is the information segment about SilverBullet Light. By the way, a lot of people ask, why do we call it SilverBullet Light? Well, the first version was just really heavy. In fact, it was manufactured almost as an archival vault for us, and it was kind of heavy in your pocket. And then we had the idea of using basically a tube of lip balm as both the container and as a way of just kind of disguising its use. When you open it, and I hope you followed the instructions and waited until viewing the video before opening, because you'll see right away a little orange plug in the top. That's simply there to keep the powder from accidentally leaking. Now what you'll have, this is like a salt shaker in essence, but that's the salt. It's a very, very fine powder. In fact, it's not just a powder. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I discovered this. Not everything. But I have been aware, as you may be, that when highway paint stripes are made reflective, what they do is they come along while the paint's still wet, actually just immediately after the nozzle, and drop little tiny beads of glass. And because of the way they're made, light coming in will reflect right back out in the same direction. One day I was working with this substance in another application entirely. The light happened to be over my shoulder. I looked down, and it was glowing back at me. And that's when I came to the realization, this is not just flecks of powder, it is actually little tiny micron size beads. And in fact, one of the things that you'll discover later when used with paper, for example, regular paper, when you look at it under a microscope, looks very much like this. And those little tiny beads, when they fall onto the paper, they actually sink about halfway in and they become like a roller mat. And this is a micro photograph of what that looks like. Isn't that cool? So here's your the way this is built. It is built like a salt shaker. There's a little tiny screen inside so that when you tip it, it doesn't all dump at once. One thing that you'll do is you'll just take this, shake it once against your finger and release. And that little tiny spot is more than you're going to need for any of the applications that we teach later. By the way, when you see the applications we teach later, you'll see me with darker hair and my hair pulled back. So it might be a good idea to take small children away from the screen. It's not pretty. Anyway, this is about all you're going to need, this little tiny touch of stuff. How can you use it? Well, there are, in addition to what you're going to see later, we have a couple of other ideas that are just really, really cool. For example, with a pack of cards, which by the way can be shuffled. You can ask someone to shuffle them, cut them, use their own cards, for crying out loud. Ask them then to cut the deck into 3 separate parts, like that. Then ask them to look at the top card of any pack, or if they like, they can cut each of the other packs as well. So absolutely guaranteeing you have no clue as to which card it is that they will take. They take one of them. Now they can either take it out of a spread before they cut into 3 or after. I mean, this, you can play it any way you want. You're so free. Now remember, on your finger you still have the stuff. So after they have taken their card, in this case we'll use this one, and you ask, which pile would you like to put it back on? Oh, this one? Just a little tap deposits those little beads right on the surface of the card. There's still plenty left on my finger for more purposes. Because the cards are smooth and they don't have that paper type grain that they sink into because they're covered. The little beads are just resting right on top. So when that card is replaced back there, and then the folks can have their choice of putting either one of those on top and putting this one in the middle, and then cutting a couple of times if they like. It is still very, very easy for you to find the card. It's reminiscent of that old salt trick where the card would reveal itself with a kick of your foot. But essentially, it becomes, the beads become a roller surface, which then encourage the cards to break right at that point. Okay. There are also guys, by the way, who will do the haunted deck sort of thing like this, and actually have the deck cut itself at the selected card. So that's a couple of uses for you card guys. Now, I have a different kind of card for you mentalism guys. As you may know, if you've read read some of my work, or if you have the video The Sunshine Boys, which is a previous release, a lecture that Larry Becker and I did for a live audience, or if you have our new Q&A video series, you'll realize that one of my very favorite methods is to use a bunch of business-sized cards that have prompters on, say, on the other side of this card, please draw or doodle whatever you wish, write someone's name or phone number, write a funny or a difficult word, list an exotic place to visit. There are 3 or 4 different variations, but asking people to come up with good ideas to put on the other side of the card. Then they're all returned, and with that method, which I'm not going to disclose now because I want you to buy one of the other DVDs, basically, you will know who in the audience some of the questions come from, and you'll be able to answer. This is a kind of a shorthand version of that, using primarily the SilverBullet, or it can be an adjunct. You see, when this stuff goes into paper, it stays there. Okay, now after a few eons, the paper may evaporate out from under it, but basically it's going to stay with the paper. So when you get a tab of this on your finger, what you can do is take one of the cards you're going to use and run a finger width across one end and just kind of rub it into the paper a little bit. Then repeat with the other end on a different card. And on a third card, do it down the middle. I think you see where I'm going with this. For example, suppose this card, the one that the person wrote, say perhaps part of their phone number on. If this was the one that I had treated on this end, they're not going to see it, feel it, or know that it's there when they write. But when that card is returned to the deck, and I know that the writing on it, this one's upside down, okay, is on the end of the sentences, not the beginning. When we ask for someone to collect all of those cards, what we'll do is ask them to make sure that they're all right side up. Then, anytime you like, you just squeeze the end and spread. And when you spread, it's actually going to break at that, at that very card. Okay, wait, let me try it again here. Wrong end. Yes. See how cleanly that goes? That means then, simply right in front of your audience, it can be, all right now, all of you filled in all of these cards, and it breaks right there, you have the information. If you had one on the other end, you can do it here. Broke anyway, but that's a different card. Or you can do it in the center here and just cut to the bottom. So you have 3 different places where you can put the stuff. I would suggest not using the 4 corners. That's being a little bit too precise. But doing it just with the 3 different places is perfect and is just so casual. There's your peek. You got it. You're done.